Welcome, everybody, to Hood Hustlers, where we help you take your life to the next level. You know what we say every week, whether you are on the block or in the boardroom, whether you are hitting the concrete or you are in the corporate suites. We are here to give you that good information to take your life, and I always say this, and your business to the next level. I'm your co-host, Mr. Finesse, along with my co-host, Elvin Ames. Randy Adebayo could not be with us tonight, so it's a duo. It's the dynamic duo tonight. Elvin, what's up, man? How you doing?
I am great, Michael. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, I
I
can't
see.
complain.
I
It's
see the
been a good
bells.
week.
I know you've been working. Well,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm working, man. But we're doing all right. We're making it happen. Tonight's topic, everybody, we're going to talk about disaster preparedness in the quest for as we build wealth, as we make money. So, today is the anniversary of 9/11. My son had a football game, Elvin, and there was a moment of silence. And I was listening to a radio station, and they did a tribute to the deceased victims of 9/11. Giants play beat the Cowboys. They had a tribute to 9/11. So that terrorist attack and the effects of it, the memory of it, are in our minds, in particular today. At the same time, Melvin, there are those of us like yourself, myself, who are entrepreneurs seeking to build wealth. So tonight we want to talk about kind of two pronged approach: disaster preparedness slash survival and building wealth. So here we go, man. So how do you look at this anniversary, and what steps are you taking to ensure your safety, if you will, as you are continuing the quest to build wealth?
let's take it back to September 11th, 2001.
Hmm.
On that day, many people thousands of people were, you know, um, going to work, getting their life, planning out their life, making plans for vacation, making plans for retirement. They had everything set. They were either contemplating what vacation they would take next. They were probably thinking about the job ahead, the week ahead, and you know, and many of their lives ended that day. And the families of the families of the victims' life changed on that day. So all the planning and all the dreams
Mm.
that they had, a lot of them, were flushed down the toilet. You know, uh,
Hmm. Yes, sir.
because of 9/11. So, we don't really think about disaster preparedness. And I think one of the reasons we don't think about it is because, one, we may feel lulled into a false sense of security, being living in the condition we live in here in America, where it's relatively safe for a large portion of the time. The second reason we probably don't think about, you disaster preparedness is because, frankly, a lot of people just don't have enough money, or have enough stashed away to care for a family member, should they leave this planet, should they perish. So uh, this is something, we really have to think about. And especially in the hood, many times in the hood, we don't even think about having leaving anything, a legacy, or leaving wealth to our family, because we just don't have it. So how can we change that, Mike?
Mm.
Really, what the question is, especially on a day like today, because disasters could hit at any time. Before we started, we were talking about Kim Jong Un and the mess that he's starting now, setting off nuclear weapons on their North Korea, and also a few weeks ago, he launched a ballistic missile, over in the, close to the Japanese sea. It was so, anything could happen crazy that could really alter all of our plans. What do you think would help prepare us for this situation, Mark? For
Mm.
anything?
It's funny. Let's go back to 9/11, and as you were talking of, and I'm thinking about that whole, I don't want to call it a movement, the project, for lack of a better way of putting it. Remember that guy who was hired to actually assess how much victims' families who lost like a primary caregiver, like a wage earner, income earner, the provider for the family, they had to actually assess how much a life was worth. How do you do that? What kind of calculations, the basis for calculating the value of a life, or the lifetime value of someone's earnings? You know what I mean? And then say, well, your life is worth $500,000, but you know what, this guy or this woman, her life is worth $2 million.
Yeah.
I would never want to be in a position, you know what I mean, in order to assign value to a life. On the other hand, we can kind of back into this conversation, what is life insurance? And you raised a good point. Or what is the purpose of life insurance? My understanding of the purpose of life insurance is twofold. One, it's income replacement, attempting to replace the income of the deceased person. And two, I remember a mortgage broker friend of mine actually said that part of what the wealthy do is they take out a life insurance policy on the particular person, or the particular person takes out a life insurance policy on himself, and when he or she dies, it gets paid into a trust. Mm-hmm. See, so unlike in the hood, we take out life insurance to bury somebody. You know what I mean? So you have your little policy. Remember the debit? I think it was called the debit policies back in the day. I remember my grandmother and grandfather, guy used to come in the trench coat and little Volkswagen station wagon and collect the debit policy. But so what do we do to survive? I think we have to be prepared. How are we to be prepared? I think personally, we need to have as much savings as we can. And I know it's hard for the average American to save, yet even if it's $1,000 every pay money aside, I think we have to make sure, as this mortgage broker said to me, that we have all of our insurances in place. We have to have our apartment insurance, our homeowners insurance. We have to have our life insurance, car insurance, health insurance. All those insurances, even though they can be costly, they can help us to survive. You see what I'm saying? And then I think, there's an election coming up. There are two different approaches to defense. So I think we have to think about who we want in office and who's going to best secure us in case a Kim Jong-il launches a nuclear weapon at America. That's not far-fetched, right?
Yeah. Well,
so I think it's holistic.
Yeah, I mean, I do have my reservations about life insurance.
Okay.
And one of them is,
let me.
Yeah, because
talk to us.
When you pay into it, if you get sick, you miss a few payments, they basically could take it away. I think there's a few life insurances that there's a set amount of payments, so we probably into those. I'm not sure the difference. Maybe eventually have a life insurance person on, but life insurance is a good way to protect your assets, or to give your family something if you pass on. Another thing that people need to look into is, if we're talking about pass the stuff on to family members, look into trusts. Now, there are different types of trusts. Like in real estate, there are land trusts. I learned from other investors how to utilize land trusts, because land trusts is actually great for a few reasons. One, it's a great vehicle to hold your real estate in. It functions like an LLC. But the difference between a land trust and an LLC is a land trust falls under the Constitution of the United States of America. An LLC does too, but LLC is a creation of the state, right? So when you get an LLC, you create it in that state. A land trust, it doesn't need a state to be created in. Even though people talk about the Illinois Land Trust, which is land trusts were popular. A trust is long before then. In fact, Trusts were used in the time of Egypt. They were also used in the time of Alexander the Great. And
Wow, wow.
trustee was the person who used to be in charge of um, your land holdings when you went off to war or battle. You were entrusted to the land, so that's where the trustee comes in. And we could hold a whole session about that, but basically the trust allows you to pass on property, etc., to your heirs without having to go through probate. Right. So this
Mm,
is something we should definitely look into. The wealthy use trusts. Many people don't know much about them because it's not something that the average Joe knows about for the most part. The wealthy use trusts all the time. Um, so, we should really look into this, especially if we have real estate holdings and different businesses you want to entrust to somebody else or to pass on to our heirs. Um, but look, you know, let's get back to what we were saying. I mean, on 9/11, many people's plans went sideways. They were affected even if they were not in the towers. There were family members of people or victims. Their plans changed, and I think another thing we need to plan for disaster is probably even look into gold, look into owning some gold because gold is
exactly.
called real money. Like the cash that people have is what's called fiat currency or currency, right? And the difference between currency and money is money holds its value over a long period of time. Currency does not. So currency suffers inflation or deflation and could easily go out of existence. Money like gold or silver, real money, that usually holds its value over a long period of time. So there's a whole bunch of pointers to what's currency, what's money, but that is the one that separates currency from money is holding its value over a long period of time. I'll give you an example. A gold coin back in um, Greek times was enough to purchase you I believe it was the reef hats, a toga, the belt, sandals, right? Well, guess what? A gold coin. If you took a gold coin into any fashion or any um, into let's say any tailor, not tailor, but any mall or place that sells suits, you could purchase a suit, shoes, and a belt and a hat with a gold coin, right? And
Same value, right? So it's held its value over time.
over time, and this is we're talking about a
Two
thousand
thousand years later, yeah.
exactly. So that's real money, and you may want to consider purchasing some of this because all currencies have all currencies eventually have disappeared. They counted, I believe they said they were trying to list the currencies over the years, all the currencies ever created, and they went from A down to D. And before I think they couldn't even get out of the A category before they counted 700 currencies that had disappeared off the face of the planet. And these were governments that created currencies and
Mm.
they're no longer in existence. So that's to show you that money really, currency has no value. What we call money, just paper, fiat money, has no value. So, we may want to consider investing in something a little bit more solid than that.
Elvin, it's funny. While you were speaking, it piqued the whole notion of the four asset classes. So I just Googled the four asset classes just to remind myself. I didn't remember all four. So, we're still talking about disaster preparedness, survival, building wealth. The four asset classes: stocks or equities, fixed income or bonds, money market equivalents, and then real estate or other assets. So I mean, if we're going to be complete in our wealth pursuit, then we've got to build into our portfolio the 4 asset classes. And just to go back up to insurance, I'm sure there are many different types of insurance. In terms of life insurance, I know of 2. You have whole life, which you pay a higher premium for. They say it builds a cash value. Have the policy payout, but then you have the money that's in it as you pay. You can borrow off of it, which is crazy. You can borrow your own money, but you got to pay it back, right? You borrow your own money from yourself. And then you have term insurance, which the premium is less, and yet it's for a specified amount of time. And there is this company, Primerica, I'm sure you've heard of it, where that's their concept: buy term and invest the difference.
Okay.
So people, and I'm gonna kind of go out on a limb here and say, what do you do with those people who are survivalists? MREs, they're stockpiling water, they're getting gun permits and buying firearms, and you know what I mean, all of those survivalist kinds of things. They're actually classes on urban survival if you ever kidnap. So there's a whole nother realm of this whole notion of survival. And I forget the acronym that's used, but essentially there are people who are taking their quest for survival and disaster preparedness to a whole new level. I mean, unless something rises to the level of an ELE, an extinction level event, and then that's when all of humanity's done. You know what I mean? And then depending upon our view of the afterlife, that belief may need to kick in at that time. But Elvin, I think what we're saying, we're shooting out a lot of things here. I think what we're saying is a couple that we have to be about disaster preparedness and survival. 2, that there are things that we can do. You know what I mean? We don't have to hold our head in our hands and be like Chicken Little and say the sky is falling. We can be proactive. We can be empowered. And there's some things that we can do to survive and build wealth at the same time.
All right.
Well, what do you say?
I know that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, I just want to say it's the 3 G's. I'm not, talks about the 3 G's, I believe. And it's gold, guns, and grub. Now, a lot of people, they add other G's onto it. Another G is get away.
Right. That's right. Yeah, there are people relocate. They're just real fast. There are people now, and I've seen this for a few years. There are people in America who, as they consider retiring, they're looking at other places to retire where the economy is actually better. Like Costa Rica, for example, a friend of mine, or ex-friend of mine, relocated to Costa Rica for that very reason.
You get to Costa Rica. Wow. He was retired and he just.
Yeah. Nah, he did. He's younger than me. He did it because he felt like he had more economic opportunity in Costa Rica. And he did research about the economy, employment levels, standard of living. He said I could go to Costa Rica and live better than I can live in America. He children, he may have a 4th now, young guy. He's probably late 30s, maybe 40, done, left. He left a few years ago.
How's he?
Hasn't been.
Have you spoken to him?
No, well, he's an ex-friend. So I haven't spoken to him. And let me just say parenthetically, ties in what we're saying. I think there are people in our lives who we think can be part of our team, our business team, etc., who really at the end of the day talk, like James Brown, talking loud but ain't saying nothing. They talk a good game, they promise you the world, and then they don't follow through. So for that reason, he's an ex-friend. So he's not somebody who could be part of my survival team.
Well, I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
He picked up and just left to Costa Rica, and this is what we're talking about. I mean, when we're in the hood, we don't really think this big, and it's glad that I hear stuff. I'm talking to you, and I'm hearing about people that are just picking up and doing stuff. Now, I looked online. There's another website. It's called the 7 Gs. It's
okay.
The7gs.ca, and their survival guide is 1G is general. I guess this means general. Well, actually, let me go into this. I'll just read it off to you. Gas.
Okay.
Grub, ground, guns, gold, gear, and guidance.
I like that. Say that again. And that's
Um,
a good way to wrap up. I like that. Say that again, please.
gas,
Mm-hmm.
ground, guns, gold, gear, and guidance. And this is their 7 Gs.
I like that. 7gs.ca. I'm gonna look that up.
Now, and it's crazy. I mean, they got like how to pack your survival kit.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean, these people are serious about it.
Serious about it.
I mean, we don't think that this stuff could happen, but it's real. I mean, we watch all these TV shows, Walking Dead, and Apocalypse Now, and all these shows that show you what could happen with a virus outbreak, a nuclear catastrophe. I mean, anything crazy can happen at any time, and how are we going to be prepared for it? That's the question.
Well said. So Elvin, man, I think we got to end up, man. I like ending on the note of what you said. We always like to give people takeaways, and I think the 7gs.com, and Elvin, just one more time, just to kind of pull all this together. What are those 7Gs again? And so as we end up tonight, everybody who's listening or will be listening or watching, the 7Gs, 7gs.ca. The 7Gs for survival are
gas, grub, ground, guns, gold, gear, and guidance.
Elvin, I'm gonna look up that website as soon as we hang up. And everybody, listen, it's been a pleasure. A little bit of a shorter show tonight. It's your man, Mr. Finesse, along with my co-host Elvin Ames. You're listening to Hood Hustlers, where we help you take your life to the next level. Whether you are on the block or in the boardroom, whether you are hitting the concrete or in the corporate suites, we help you take your life and your business to the next level. Tweet for another episode of Hood Hustlers. It's been real. It's been good. Elvin, appreciate having you on and us partnering together to do this. One love, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you, man.